The stupidity could lead to thermonuclear war. And I want to remind you of something else. We've pushed Russia almost to the brink with what? With sanctions? And tell me what sanctions have led to in the past with other nations. Most of you don't know history, that's why you're condemned to repeat it. But I'm a student of history, and I know what sanctions have done in the past. When Japan was sanctioned in World War II, just before World War II, she became more hostile. When Japan was sanctioned, she invaded more territory because she was starved for resources. She invaded Manchuria, which led to World War II with Japan. You put sanctions on Russia over Ukraine, all you geniuses on the left, what has happened? Now Russia's been put into the camp with China and North Korea. They're no longer neutral. You did it. So what should Trump do about North Korea? Should Japan go nuclear? We hear DACA is ended, comma, sort of, period. What is DACA? Deferred action, whatever. In other words, it's the legalization of at least 800,000 illegal aliens. Now, they're human beings. They're human beings. Some are good, some are bad, some are average. But Jeff Sessions today announced that DACA, that was created by Obama's illegal executive order, by the way. Oh, remember Obama flooded them in by train every way he could, and he gave an executive order granting clemency to children brought here by illegal immigrants. So Obama used his pen and his phone to put something in place that he had no right to do under the Constitution. You cannot make law as the president. Only the Congress can do that. And Obama completely cut them out, as dictators often do. Now, that could be an impeachable offense, but no one dares speak that word about St. Barry. You can only talk of impeaching Mr. Trump. My question is, why can't Trump take the same executive action and make sure DACA can't be put into effect by Congress? After all, Obama set the precedent. Everyone is now acting as though DACA is the law of the land here. So we ask, why can't Trump make an executive order permanently banning DACA? Because he doesn't want to. With heart. What does that even mean? As I wrote in Trump's War, we've seen what happens when you make laws using one's heart instead of one's head. You get what Angela Merkel is dealing with in Germany. An out-of-control migrant problem that is causing terror and crime throughout Germany. But here in America, you want to wind up a stranger in a strange land? Look in Congress in a position where they have to take sides for or against these illegal immigrants, as incompetent as they are, now has to figure out a solution to the DACA problem he just dumped in their laps? Do you actually think these do-nothings can figure this out? They can't. For the border wall, another project that seems to have gone by the wayside. Well, it looks like the dream is over, but not for the dreamers. It looks like the dream of getting this agenda passed and passing not amnesty, but reality is over for us, the United States citizens. I was going to talk about immigration from a biological point of view in a way you probably have never heard. I read widely in different fields. So one of the magazines I get is called Wooden Boat. And it's like the magazine for wooden boat owners, builders, and designers. Now, I don't happen to own a wooden boat, but I like to read about craftsmen. In fact, when I was putting that aside for a minute, I was flipping through the magazine, actually reading every story. It takes longer than saying MAGA and Trump is bad or Trump is good. So I was reading this thing, Curse of the Rings, and it's about the wiping out of certain trees in Maine and the Northeast because of a disease that's hitting these hardwoods. And it's that come into these ring-porous hardwoods. And in the past in America, we've lost American chestnut trees in the eastern United States. All of you listening to the show have heard of Dutch elm disease, except migrated from Bulgaria. Dutch elm disease devastated American elm trees. And unless you probably know about oak wilt, which has caused havoc in red oaks and even in white oaks. You say, well, what does this have to do with anything? We've attacked our native trees that have been brought in as a result of exotic wilt-causing fungi, which are introduced to North America and spread by insect vectors. In other words, new fungi were brought into the United States through insects, and the native trees had no resistance to these fungi and the insect transfer.